Hello, this is Debra Cohen, a story and a song that broadcasts every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And I would like to welcome you for the next 20 minutes or so to join me in the topic, music therapy and how it helps dementias. And before we begin, I'd like to mention today, unfortunately, is the 100th day of the Israeli war. Regardless of what stance you take, I just want you to know, because you won't hear it in American media, that first of all, who started the war? Hamas attacked Israelis on their land. And it's been said by the Israeli government that if they were to get their 136 hostages back, they could negotiate for peace. So why is Hamas insistent on keeping the Israeli innocent civilians, including babies? This is outrageous, and it all started because of Hamas. So please, in America at least, learn the difference between Hamas and the Palestinian public. They're not the same people usually. So it's important not to stereotype, which a lot of people do, and that's how we get our distorted beliefs. So let us pray for peace for all nations, and I will be back to talk about music therapy right after this message. Hello, this is Debra Cohen. I'm so glad you found me online. My music is a variety of genres, starting in the 80s as a new wave singer-songwriter, opening up for Joan Jett in Kenmore Square, Boston. From there, I wandered into different genres, exploring my faith, praise music, interfaith music, and pop, rock, indie music, as well as music for TV, film, and movies. So there's all kinds of things to learn listening to my podcast, A Story and a Song. And I hope that you will enjoy the journey with me and that you will share what you hear. Thank you for listening. And again, this is Debra Cohen, and I welcome you today on my weekly podcast. I just started broadcasting on Instagram Live as well as twitch.tv/Debra Cohen Music. I am an indie artist, and not only do I love to sing, but I love to share what I learn about world peace and how music helps all of us. So if you've missed any of my previous weekly broadcasts, I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel at Jewish Rock Music. And don't forget to share the music while you're there. So let us begin. I'm sharing part 2 of an article. Believe it or not, I found it in AARP. Now, I don't know if you're a baby boomer like I am, but I resisted AARP for a long time. I was insulted when I got it in the mail. I was going to show you the cover if I could find it. When I was in my 50s and even my early 60s, I thought, why are they sending me this magazine? I hate this magazine because I don't want to get old. But I've come to grips with myself. And I don't use the adjective old because that means that there's no return. There's no way of improving. So I use older. And I encourage you, if you're a boomer or older, to use older instead of old. Old doesn't sound good. There's nothing good about old unless you're an antique or something that can cash in. Okay, so let's begin. Thanks to the author of this article in the December-January 2024 AARP magazine. It's written by John Colapinto. Thank you, John. And you can see part 1, again, as I mentioned on my YouTube channel, Just go to at the A sign, Jewish Rock Music, and look for the live tab on YouTube. Okay, so this is called Fly Me to the Moon. And it's very interesting because I don't know if any of you have family members that have suffered with dementia. I saw my Nana, my grandmother, deteriorate with dementia. It was a horrifying family experience. And so this intrigues me because as a singer, songwriter, musician, I can find ways to help other people that are suffering with this affliction. And maybe you know somebody. You don't have to be a professional singer either. You can just sing some family tunes. So, on a recent afternoon, I visited the 80th Street Residence, an assisted living community for dementia patients on Manhattan's Upper East Side. 17 patients gathered in a community room, and staff members helped seat them in chairs that faced the front of the room where, and I don't know how to say this woman's name. I'll show you her picture. There she is. This beautiful lady that's singing her guitar with her guitar. Ixu Zhang, a 37-year-old music therapist, introduced herself to the group. Her audience stared back blankly. "They don't all remember me," she said later. "They see me every 2 weeks, but many don't know why I'm here." She began strumming an acoustic guitar and singing, "Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like." Ah, the effect was immediate. Chins lifted from chest, eyes opened, smiles flickered on one or two faces. A woman began to sing certain phrases on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. Over the next 45 minutes, Zhang fanned the fragile spark of group attention into a steady blaze with a string of standards, such as Blue Moon, Catch a Falling Star, You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine, You Make Me Happy When I Am Blue. Is it blue or gray? I forget. And got nearly every person singing along. Between verses, she called out questions. Who sang Singing in the Rain? A white-haired woman said, Gene Kelly. And she asked again a question. What is the girl's name in The Wizard of Oz? And a woman in the second row blurted out, Dorothy! And her dog's name? Dodo! That's amazing, Zhang cried. And it was amazing for people who, before the music started, would not have been able to recall the names of family members or the career they had pursued for 40 years, or been able to break free of the inward turning silence in which the disease had wrapped them. Indeed, isolation is one of the most frightening and unsettling symptoms of the memory loss that's synonymous with Alzheimer's and other dementias. A memory loss that separates a person from their very self. For what are we, ultimately, but the sum of our personal recollections? At the end of guitarist Zhang's session, as the patients were led back to the elevators, the mood was a little like a bubbly cocktail party breaking up. Restored for the first time being to a sense of self through the activation of better preserved neural networks. The patients traded words and laughter with caregivers and one another, a transformation as miraculous as that of those commuters on the New York City subway platform. Indeed, more so. Music therapy's roots date back to World Wars I and II, when service members with traumatic brain injuries and combat fatigue, now called PTSD, meaning post-traumatic stress disorder, were discovered by chance to improve in mood and function when listening to music. And another reason, as a side note, why this article interests me, not only from my grandmother, but because I was diagnosed with PTSD, not from the military, but from childhood abuse that I suffered. And I know there's many children. As a former high school teacher in a public school, I've seen the results of dysfunctional children because of PTSD. So keep in mind that music therapy can have a place in the public schools as well. Veteran hospitals began hiring musicians to play to patients, and it was not long before physicians realized that the treatment's effectiveness would be enhanced if musicians learned the basic tenets of psychology, neurology, and physiology, so that they could tailor their playing to a patient's specific needs. Michigan State University launched the first degree program in music therapy in 1944. And that is such a wonderful article by John Colapinto. I hope that you learned something in this article, and I hope that you enjoyed this live broadcast. I know it's not quite 20 minutes, so because it is a new moon, according to Judaism's calendar, I will share the psalm that is chanted at the beginning to celebrate the new moon, a celebration that has gotten lost over the years and needs to be returned. So you can look for Psalm 104 by me, Debra Cohen, anywhere online, and also check out my new song that came out January 12th of 2024 called Butterfly, and add it to your playlist. So I thank you for listening, and I'd like to share with you in celebration, stay on, listen to the words, and pray this as a prayer in the singing of Psalm 104 to celebrate the new moon month of Shvat.
Cliffs are refuge for the gopher. He created the moon for Moatim. The sun knows it's going down. Adonai, how manifold are your works. To
butterflies. I love butterflies. This one is the blue morpho butterfly, which is very rare. Seeing this pretty blue butterfly may mean that you will have a wish granted. I wonder if that is true. Let me ask Debra.
Butterflies can mean what you believe. Some think that seeing a butterfly means spiritual transformation. I see butterflies fly across my path and they always make me smile. Look at Debra. She is so excited to tell you about her new band merch, which is available on Amazon.com and Redbubble.com. Just look for her merch and music online and shop butterflies. And coming soon is Debra's new song called Butterfly.
What a beautiful butterfly. Thank you, Debra.
Welcome to the world of music. For indie artists, on Spotify especially, it's all about the algorithms. I hope you will enjoy this wonderful video that Spotify put together for me, Debra Cohen Music, as an indie artist. Here in this video, you will see how well my music did in 2023. Of course, I share this most humbly because it's nothing to toot my horn about. As a novice musician, even having started being a musician when I was 22 years old, but I took a break in between to get a real job, which didn't work out. So here it is in 2023. Is this a good time to talk about me? Because people spent this much time listening to my music. In seconds, it's recorded. It's roughly how long it would take to walk from New York City to Boston. Interesting they'd use Boston. That's where I had my rock and roll days in the 80s. But I thank you for listening again and again. According to Spotify, you saved my songs 118 times in 2023. And my music was added to 77 playlists, which is really good because playlists help the music get out there. My best track, believe it or not, is Psalm 94. And if you're familiar with King David's lyrics, you'll know why. In the time of Israel being at war, which started on October 7th. I released Shalom Aleichem in 2020, and you can also hear that song on my YouTube channel at Jewish Rock Music. I want to thank Spotify for putting together this video so you can see, as a listener, why it's significant for you to do simple things to support the artists. People around the world are listening to my music. It surprised me that my number one country in all the world that listens to me most is France. Merci beaucoup. Number 2, where my mother's family is from, Finland. 3, I don't know anybody in Malta, but thank you for listening. 4, Argentina. Muchos gracias. And 5, Chile. Muchos gracias. Thank you for listening to my music. So, people are listening to Debra Cohen Music. It says, according to Spotify, I have fans that have listened 388 times. Where are they listening from? 68% direct link, 12% Instagram, 9% Twitter, now called X, 6% on Facebook, 5% other resources. People on Facebook, please, you need to step it up in 2024. My most listened to track, Vishamru on Spotify. And, of course, if you listen to my music on Spotify, you get an 8-second canvas picture video before the song to introduce the song. And the question is, am I a gardener? Well, Spotify says because my music saw some nice growth in 2023. So, thank God my music is catching on. But we need more listeners in 2024. And that's where you come in. And Spotify says to give a shout out to my biggest fans. Top 10 artists, 13 fans. Top 5 artist list, I have 6 fans in 2023. But I want to thank you again for listening, for taking the time to watch this. And maybe now you understand a little bit better why I ask you to share my music, listen to my music, repost my music, subscribe to my social media channels. And again, on YouTube, my channel is it's the @ Jewish Rock Music, all one word. It's called a handle.
Hi, this is Debra Cohen Music, and I just want to wish you all a wonderful celebration ending in 2023. I thank you for listening to my music and buying my merch, and I hope we all have a greater 2024. I wish you all peace, salam, and shalom.
So thank you again for listening, and I hope that this inspired you and gave you a greater understanding of why it's so, so very important to support the indie artists. I also have merch on Amazon.com. Thanks for listening. Happy New Year.
Les années sont passées et ma consolation se lève à l'étoile d'une chanson.